I really think what attracted me to network marketing was I actually had some family members that did pretty decent in other companies, and I was always kind of intrigued by it, but I didn't have a passion for the specific businesses they were in. So I had an open mind to it. So I'd been around it for a while growing up. And then I'm actually a single mom, and I had a big goal to be able to be a stay-at-home mom before he started school. And I was at a point in my life, I worked full-time at an insurance company, and I was struggling with bills, and I was gonna start looking for a part-time job on top of that. And I had this thing where I was like, okay, I'm going completely backwards from where I wanted to go. I was spending more time away from my son instead of going towards more time with him. And I wasn't necessarily looking for a network marketing company at the time, but it kind of just popped up. You know, we see those things on Facebook, and right at the time where I was looking for a part-time job, one of those things popped up. A friend of mine on Facebook posted about a company, and I just decided that I needed to just go for it. If I was going to do it, I was going to be all in. And I decided to try it, put everything I had into it, and I was able to quit my job within 6 months. So, and I've seen things like that happen with other people, so I just told myself, like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm not gonna stop until I get where I wanna be. And now I've been home with my son for a little over 2 years now, so. For the fundamentals of network marketing, so when I started my business, I actually had a friend of mine sit down and have coffee with me, sat down, looked through the comp plan of the company, and they sent me this video. It was Jim Rohn, I had never heard of him, and it was the 3 philosophies of network marketing. And I was like, okay, this video is 45 minutes, I don't know why I'm, like, I didn't understand personal development then, but I was like, okay, this guy's doing well, so I'm gonna listen to what he says. And I literally listened to it within the first couple weeks of starting my business. And I think that the personal development side of things really helped me go as fast as I did in my business. So that's a YouTube video that I listened to. And then from there, I dove more into personal development. I went to the GoPro event with Eric Worre my first 3 months in my first network marketing company. So I think just diving into the personal development and learning relationships and all of that kind of stuff, I learned it pretty quickly, and just the things that I picked up on the most that stood out to me, I just ran with it, and it kind of just worked, I think. I don't know. I'm one of those people that I don't set my time schedule very well, so I could say I'm always working. Hours-wise, but I'm always kind of like, I am a stay-at-home mom with my son, so I'm halfway working, halfway with him, doing things all the time, but it is a constant thing. I think that if you're someone that wants to do a business like this and only work a couple hours a week, you can make money, but you have to put as much free time as you have into it and be willing to sacrifice a little bit. So I think I'm constantly doing that. I'm in a process where I'm still building. So I can't really give an exact time, but it's a lot. Any possible free time that I have, I'm putting towards my business. Okay, so I think that having a why is very important, but it also is different for every person. You know, in some things that I've learned, they say your why should make you cry. It should be so important that it should make you cry. But I also feel like there should be, there's different whys for different stages in your life. Somebody's why could be, I just want to be able to pay my car payment so it doesn't get repossessed, you know? So there's different whys that we have at different stages. I think that there's long-term whys and short-term, and I think it's good to know those and write them down. Long-term, it is really good to look at it, but then I think just breaking it down into smaller, I guess you could call them whys or goals to get to that big one is important, I think. Especially on the days that you're overwhelmed and people aren't calling you back or canceling appointments and all of that kind of stuff. You know, it happens to everyone, and if you know why you're doing it, if it's important enough to you, you'll just keep going. One of the first books that I always recommend to someone that is in business or just personal, it's called You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's not super focused on network marketing, but more mindset. And I am a firm believer that you have to have the right mindset to be able to be whether it's network marketing or whether it's you just wanting to be a better you. I think it's so important. And she kind of She is very broad with the things that she talks about, but it's very relatable, especially to someone like me. When I was first starting out in business like this, I was really broke, and I knew what I wanted to do. I had no idea how I was going to get there, and she talks a lot about just your mindset and connecting with things. And I think it's a really good starter book for someone that's maybe never done network marketing or is working on figuring themselves out. I usually always give it to everyone that I do business with. So I do. I think a huge thing is not working on personal development. A lot of people say that, like, I'll send the videos, this is what helped me. I'll send the books, this is what helped me. I try to be duplicable. Is that the right word? Yeah. And I can tell when people are doing it and when they're not. And the ones that aren't doing it tend to get discouraged really quickly. They'll blame every reason that they're not succeeding on everything else but themselves. And I just always kind of resort back, well, have you actually watched this video? Have you read this book? What are you doing? And I think that the personal development kind of flows with conversation, the way that you're talking with people. Are you actually trying to build a relationship with this person and talk to them and be all about them? Or are you just trying to get a sale? Are you just trying to get that other team member for yourself? How are you talking to them? I think that's really important. I do a lot of role plays with my team, and I ask them, okay, these conversations aren't working for you. Send me a screenshot of how you're talking to the person. And rather than them being just real and genuine, like they're talking to a friend or a sister, it sounds a little bit salesy. And so I constantly am like, just talk to them like they're your friend. Just like you're caring about them. You don't have to be salesy. You don't have to know every in and out of what the ingredients are or what's everything about the company. Just be real. And I think that's like the most important thing. So most people already have full-time jobs in business, and they have to be structured. When they do this, they want it to be a fun thing, not like word for word, you know. How do I manage? I think that I just kind of deal with it. I guess some days are great. When my son was a little bit younger, it was difficult to bring him to meetings, but I didn't want that to hold me back. By law of attraction, I also have a lot of other single moms or young women on my team. And one of the biggest excuses I've seen people not being able to come to an event or a meeting is, oh, I don't have a sitter, or I can't come because my kid's throwing a fit today or whatnot. I've been there. My son has thrown fits at coffee meetings, and he has been running around when I'm trying to focus on a thing, but I always brought him with me, and I still do, just to show that I'm relatable. I'm just a real person. My child isn't some angel child that's perfect at every single meeting. Sometimes he is great, but it's kind of one of those things. I don't have an option. If I had an excuse of like, oh, I can't work this next week because I don't have a babysitter this week, that's just giving myself an excuse. So I just work through it. Over time, he's gotten really great. He knows what work is. He knows when I'm on a phone call. So not only has it just started to work out, but I'm also showing him. I think I don't know how he remembers this, but when he was 2, he would come to my work sometimes when I worked full time, and still when we drive past that building, he's like, Mom, that's your work. And I'm like, I don't work there anymore. But it's kind of cool that he gets to see what work actually is. A lot of kids that their parents have full-time jobs, which I'm not bashing on full-time jobs at all. If you want that, great. But your kids don't know what you do when you're gone. They just know that you're gone all day at work. But he actually gets to see what I do, introducing myself, telling my story, and he'll step in like, I want to talk, I want to say my name now. And it's just really cool that he's actually picking up on just conversation and relationships with people. So I'm one of those people, I don't really show it very much, but I always have a little bit of anxiety in the back of my mind. So it's probably a bunch of small things. I don't think I had any large fears, because once I set my mind to it, I knew I wasn't going to give up. So there was no option for me to fail. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I think maybe a fear could have been, how long is it going to take, because I want to get out of this job. Like, how long is it going to take me? I need to figure it out. I think my biggest fear was not knowing how much time was going to take or when I was going to meet the right people for business and things like that. I'm trying to think of what other things that used to kind of, I did have like a chicken list of people. Like I'm really good about talking to people that I relate to, but anyone that I used to feel was better or higher up than me, I had a chicken list. I was really afraid to talk about business stuff with people that did finish college. I didn't finish college. So I didn't finish college. I'm a single mom. So how can I talk to somebody that's way up there on paper rather than someone that I can relate to. So I think that was a fear of mine. But the more personal development and the more courses and different things I've gone through and meeting different people, I realized that we're all human, and regardless of where you're at, business or not, we all can relate to each other in some way. So I think that just putting myself in positions where I could meet different people and get to know them kind of made that fear go away. For my personal business, social media is a pretty big thing. I build a lot of relationships on social media, and I think the way that I do that is I choose to be vulnerable. My page is public. You can probably go to my page if we're not friends and figure out quite a bit about me. Never post anything negative on social media, but I post about most people. If you look at my page, you know that I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm with my son all the time. We travel. I think that just showing our lifestyle and showing time freedom, I obviously have a business that I have to tend to, but I also can do it from anywhere, anytime I want. And in that, showing that on social media, I'm able to build so many relationships with other people. They already kind of feel like they know me before the conversation happens. And I have gotten vulnerable about my story, how I got started and things like that. And I think it really helps other people to open up to me right off the bat, and I think that's something that's really important. So they're comfortable talking to me on the phone or via Messenger. Facebook is a bigger portion of my business over other social media. But yeah, it's a way that I can show my lifestyle. I'm home all the time, so if I'm not meeting somebody for coffee, I don't get interaction with people. So I think social media is big. With meeting, I have people all over the United States that I've never met that just feel like they know me just based off of things that I choose to post, and building a relationship from there. So I think it is really important. More so for relationships rather than sales, kind of. I guess it's probably a mixture of both, but the relationship part first, because when people trust you, that's when everything kind of falls into place. I actually never knew that it was going to be a thing that I loved until it started happening. But when I have somebody new on my team, then I know that they're in a place that I was in at the beginning, and watching them change. The ones that I can tell are working on personal development, and they're changing and growing out of their comfort zones, doing things that make them uncomfortable, and watching them come up and be able to go through the comp plan and promote and things like that. It's so cool to see other people starting to do well, just based off of things that I have taught them. And it's a really rewarding thing. It makes me feel like not only with a company where not only are our products changing lives, but just the business overall and the relationships and things like that. It's really cool to see someone kind of grow out of their shell a little bit. So being a millennial, I do think that it has an advantage for my business specifically. For someone else, it might be different depending on the stage that they're in their lives. But social media is pretty big. I already had a large social media following, not large, but semi-large before I even started with network marketing. So that kind of helped. I was already used to using Facebook and things like that to talk with people and network. So that helped. And then also just with my personal story and based on law of attraction, I'm able to also recruit and promote a lot of people that are my same age group. I think if they're not single parents, they're also people that are in their mid-20s that finished college and they're working this job and they're like, okay, this is my life now. A lot of people go through that stage. I think you're mid to late 20s where you're like, okay, I'm going to be working. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. And I'm able to be one of those young people that's like, there is another way. There's a better way. We don't all have to finish college and just sit at a desk or do something for the rest of our lives. So I'm able to relate not only with single parents, but anyone that's just out of college and working and maybe not doing what they thought they wanted to do. So I think it helps. I'm able to relate in both ways. I wouldn't say that I'm able to completely prevent it. I actually would say, since I do work, this is my only job now. I work from home full time, so I have to motivate myself and have a schedule for myself. And it is easy to fall off for a day or two. Not completely fall off, but get a little bit lazy. And I have to right back to the personal development, making a schedule. constantly having a schedule. So I have calls and things that I know are going on, because if I'm not scheduling those things, it is very easy to fall off and go into my shell and be at home and not do anything. So I would say just having to keep myself motivated and setting goals and writing things down. One thing with that book, it's really going to help me having it set out all the time, because I still I always have things set up, but I still will take a day or two so that I don't get kind of overwhelmed with things. I know I was recently at an air quarry event, and he talked a lot about doing like 90 days and then taking a little break so you don't get overwhelmed. Like, go really hard, pick a time frame, make a schedule, go as hard as you possibly can, and then take a break, because we can get burnout and things like this. So that's a big thing that I'm working on. Instead of constantly going, how I said that I don't know my hours, it's all the time, it never stops. Working on just kind of trying to make an actual schedule for myself. So I'm with a company called Monate, and we just launched in 2015. I really am happy with this company. A big reason that I decided to partner with Monate is because when I was looking into different companies, it stood alone. There's so many other companies out there that are great, that have amazing products, but they all have some sort of competition. And so Monate really stood out to me that there's no competition. There's no other anti-aging hair care line. And shampoo is something that I can offer to everyone. Everyone already washes their hair, I hope. And it's not something that I'm having to ask someone to add to their budget. We all already buy shampoo, and these products do what they say they're gonna do, and I love it. So.